Good afternoon, viewers. Thank you very much for watching Punchline Africa Television, broadcasting from the Political Command Center in Nairobi, the General Headquarters. I'm Dr. David Matsanga, the man himself, the founder of Punchline Africa Television, the only online television south of Sahara that started 7 years ago. Thank you very much. I did not know that after 7 years, everybody will be online broadcasting, but I did it. Thanks God, and I want to thank God that during this period of Lent, the truth comes out. It is foresight that made me to see that in 2022, every television station will be online. Some people laughed at me. Some people even frustrated my project. But there are people, and there are people that I will thank forever. Forever. Thank you very much. Viewers across the continent of Africa, this is Africa Showdown. Africa Showdown is a program that looks at Africa. Today we have decided, being Easter, the period of Easter is nearing. During the period of Lent, we don't tell lies. We go for it as it is. We stand by the truth. We determine the destiny of our continent, Africa. What's ailing Africa? The biggest obstacle that ails Africa is corruption. And corruption, and corruption, and corruption, and corruption, and corruption, and corruption. So today, our question that we shall see after Miriam has come in to show us, to give us the news headlines in Kenya, leading stories from the Sunday Nation and the Daily Nation. We shall look at that topic. What are the obstacles that have prevented Africa from going to Jerusalem? Remember today, Jesus Christ began his journey towards Jerusalem. That's why I brought this topic symbolically, to tell you that there is something which is not very right. Can we move towards Jerusalem? With Africa, how many countries in Africa can move and enter Jerusalem triumphantly? And they get their cups, they get everything, that they say victory. How many? We shall see. Thank you very much. I don't know whether Miriam is there or yes, she has gone. I can't see her.
Yes, I'm here though.
I can't see you. Oh, thank you very much. Good afternoon, Miriam, wherever you are in this whole republic in Africa. Where are you? Good afternoon.
A very good afternoon to you. Today I'm working remotely, and you're sitting at the headquarters of Punchline Television, Punchline Africa Television. Thank you so much, and a very good afternoon to you, Doc. A very good afternoon to Daniel and Gladwell, and a very good afternoon to our viewers. So before we bring them in, let me just take us through the headlines of the leading newspapers this afternoon. The Sunday Standard: inside Ruto's Kenya Kwanza power deal. DP Ruto's UDA started off as on a hardened position of zero tolerance to alliances. Then he mellowed, and yesterday unveiled a Kenya Kwanza power sharing pact sealed in the country's seat of power. The story is on page 10 on the Sunday Standard. Ugali bread up in Yatani's hidden tax and VAT 16% on wheat and maize plan. So there's a breakdown on that there. Now the Kalonzo factor in Azimio pact. Kalonzo is a prized political star with high expectations, and that's why he is flexing muscle. The story is on page 21, 22, and 23 on the Sunday Standard. Mudavadi, worry not on what I will become. Whether I will be this or that is not the most important matter on my mind right now. That is on page 8 and 9. And then We turn our attention to the Sunday Nation. The main headline, Uhuru to get millions in send-off packages. They have done their tour of duty and now is payback time. Budget estimates show President Kenyatta will get an annual gratuity lump sum of 72 million Kenya shillings, and together with his deputy draw a pension totaling to 12 million Kenya shillings next year. Form 1 placements out tomorrow. The story is on page 6, and Ruto tightens grip on Mount Kenya, settles Nairobi power plan. The story is on page 8. And the big interview is Veronica Maina, the Deputy President's Miss Fix-It on UDA's power plan. So that is what we have on the front page of the two of the leading newspapers in the country. And of course, up there in every newspaper, they do have the opinion pieces by different contributors, both in the Sunday Nation and the Sunday Standard. Back to you, Doc.
Thank you very much, Miriam, for all that analysis. And for me, there is one thing that I want to announce here. And I always do my private opinion poll. There is a professor I taught how to do opinion poll. Professor Peter Kagwanja, raise your hand wherever you are. Never forget me on that journey of confusion that you take all the time. But not on the journey of confusion. I taught Professor Peter Kagwanja how to do an opinion poll. They didn't know. My opinion poll as it stands now, medium. Now, let's exit poll. Raila has 53% and Ruto has 43.5%, and there is 3.5% undecided population that will keep minus exit poll, which could be 5%, 5 up, 5 down. Therefore, for you, you can sit where you are, subtract, minus, add, include, but mine. Let's go slowly. The other time I gave you the opinion poll, it came almost there. Miriam, what do you think?
Yes, I think at this point, Raila Odinga has really made some inroads. You know, even we can see him nowadays going to campaign in places where he wouldn't have gone and he wouldn't have received in the recent, the previous elections. So his popularity is growing. Of course, he still has his die-hard base, but also is beginning to appeal to other areas that perhaps were not necessarily would vote for him in the previous elections, but this time he's really made some strides in these areas, especially in Mount Kenya region.
Miriam, that's a great point. But let me give you the points that I use, my secret. As we speak now, Azimio la Kenya, one Kenya, or Azimio la one Kenya, stands better chances, better policies. They have been very correct, very clear. They have a clear path to say we are a political party. We are not waiting. The crook, the usual crook of Kenyan politics, Ruto, William Samoei Ruto, the crook of Kenya politics, the crooked guy of Kenya politics, is telling people he is going to declare his on 9th parties will be independent parties. You know, have you seen how crooked we have been? And then you have my Mudavadi and Wetangula. What killed us lawyers? They are saying we are happy. You have seen what Mudavadi is saying. We are happy. We don't care because they have got the money. We don't care. Mudavadi doesn't care whether he is going to lose an election, whether which position. He is going to have the money with the wife, Tessie. They enjoy. They have the money in the house. They were bankrupt. They were going to sell the only building they have in town. Now Mudavadi doesn't talk of selling that building. Have you asked why? They are being paid. All this, the speaker, the what, they are being paid. They are doing this. The politics of Ruto is rotten. Therefore, the percentage that I gave him depends on the few people who are still holding there. Because there are certain people, Miriam, holding there. People like Susan Kihika, my daughter, we struggled with the father against so many things under Moi, Kenya. I felt so bad when she's being beaten left and right, thrown out. Why are you waiting there? What will you get? You can't get. As soon as this Ruto gets a number of MPs in parliament, he will not know Mudavadi. If you can ask, do you know the trick that you have? You ask one question, Miriam. How many MPs will Mudavadi get? Almost zero. How many ANC MPs, including his Vihiga, Mudavadi will lose in Vihiga? ANC want. Why do you go as an independent, as a party? When you, for the Kenya, can Wetangula win any more seats? Where? Ruto has conned the people again, and they are not seeing it. So the percentage comes, Azimio decided, we go as Azimio, La Kenya, as a political party. As a political party. Political coalition. That is it. They have. But this man, Ruto, has now postponed, saying we shall deliver our papers on 9th. How many parties will get seats? Ruto will turn on you and say, my party UDA got the highest number. I don't know you. How many MPs do you have? Even that one they will buy, and he crosses over to UDA. You will have nothing. So those who are going in, I am saddened by departure, but not very worried, by the Speaker of National Assembly, a man whom you have we have fed for a long time, the man who has been fed by Kenyatta, who has been held by Kenyatta, is gone. Miriam, one question when I was coming on a flight, there's something that I thought about. I said, why do these people hate Uhuru Kenyatta so much? I was listening to the garbage of another thief called Jimmy Wanjigi, the CIA thief, a big thief. We don't know what he does. I was listening to what he was saying. I said, what happened to this guy? Why do they hate Uhuru Kenyatta so much? The type of, the type of garbage that they spew against Uhuru Kenyatta. Some of these are people who have gained the fame out of Uhuru Kenyatta and the Kenyatta family. Why do they hate him so much to the extent that they do all these bad things? Moses Kuria, all the Kikuyus, all of them have come out denouncing, molesting. Surely you can hate everybody, but I don't think in the world you can hate the whole, your own man to that extent of saying the words that some of these men from the mountain are saying against Uhuru Kenyatta. They have forgotten that this election will go. They are talking of dismantling everything. They are talking, one of the politics that I have refused as I hand it over to one of the panelists. I'm told Gladwell Kiruga is somewhere on a farm in Georgia. She has decided to go there and do a live for us. Is this the politics of saying to the former president that, or the sitting president, that when we take over power, we shall come for you? This sitting president will not leave power. One of my disagreements with Besigye and Bob Wine, these younger people from Uganda who are talking of changing governments, is that disagreement. I don't want you to tell me that you will go and target Museveni like you target Mubarak, put him in a keg. No, that is not the Uganda I want. I want a Uganda that the leader can sit and watch the new face. That's my type of format, Miriam. That's why you can call me anything. Call me all the names of coward, this, or man, or this. Call me. But there is one factor, one act that I learned about my country. about my life for the last 37 years, there's one factor that I've learned, Miriam, and that factor is tolerance of the other view. To tolerate the other view, the view of the conservative government. 37 years have been, 18 years were spent under the conservative government. I stayed there, I joined Labour, and we worked so hard. Eventually we came to power in 1998. When I saw the type of tolerance, I did not leave the Labour Party. Up to today, I'm a member of the Labour Party for the constituents of Croydon Central. I had risen to the rank of a delegate, a national delegates conference delegate of the Labour Party. There was a constituency there for me as an African to capture. Robin Cook, Tony Blair, all the guys, my friends. There is nobody, John Major, Gordon Brown, all of them, Miriam, none of them did not know my name and doesn't know me physically. Dr. Clark, Dr. Sir James Bradfield, all this. These are people who know me physically. Baroness Scotland, Baroness Catherine, Baroness Margaret Beckett. We have walked on the streets, house to house campaigning. But there's one thing that I learned, which I got, which I will never run away from. If you come to me and say you are going to take power, but you are going to bring Mr. Museveni in a keg, like we brought Mr. Mubarak in a keg in Egypt, count me out. Miriam, count me out. I don't know whether your panelists are ready, but those are my comments as far as the Ruto's party is concerned. Raila now stands 53%, Ruto 43.5%, and 3.5% undecided votes. That is where we stand. That's my private opinion poll I have done, and I will be bringing it on a weekly basis, or weekly, fortnightly. I will be bringing in that poll. Counted the day again, another Sunday, 2 Sundays after Jesus has risen and gone to heaven. I will bring another poll, and I'm monitoring that. If I'm wrong, this is a period of Lent. I don't want to tell lies. Ruto has lost a lot of marks because of this type of open arm twisting which is taking place in his house, where you are called and told you will be given, leave this for Sakaja, we shall give you 20 million to campaign for the Senate. Even if you don't win, eat that money. That type of politics has eroded the credibility of UDA, which started as Mama Mboga. Where is Mboga? Where is Mama Mboga in this? Where is Baba Boda on this? There you are. Thank you. Miriam, to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Gladwell Kiragu. Your comments. Good afternoon.
A very good afternoon to you, Miriam. Good afternoon to you, Doc. Good afternoon to my brother Daniel, and good afternoon to our viewers. Yes, it's true. I support what the Doc has said, and I think currently we need to see the light. And I love the topic. We need to go to the New Jerusalem, because currently we're still lagging behind, even with the economy, the development in our country. Also in Africa. We are lagging behind, and there's a map yesterday I saw that I'm not sure of how true it is of the wealthiest countries, and I saw Kenya was in Africa, and Kenya was number 53, and I'm not quite sure about it, but comparing about what is happening in our country, the corruption, the corruption in our leaders, I think we need to change our way of doing things, because at the end of it all, we need a developed country. We need a peaceful country. We need a country whereby we can grow, because it can't still lag behind the way when before we were colonized, the way we were still behind it when after we got our freedom, we still behind us. So we need to have a country free of corruption. And I like a question, and I love what Dr. said, and why people hate Uhuru. Miriam, I always say, let's not sugarcoat life, and let's talk the truth. You know, Uhuru, as I said in the last post and in the last comment, that the one I did, he is our president, and he came to us when we were two. That is Uhuru and Ruto. And they came pleading for us Kenyans to vote for them. Something we did because of the love and the hopes we had that they are going to lead us into a better, they are going to lead us better and bring development more than the previous presidents have been doing. But currently, what is happening in the government is very shaky, whereby a deputy president and the president can't see each other eye to eye. They can't sit together to reason, like our country, we are in a crisis. What should we do? Instead, what is happening, we can see the deputy president out here. And the biggest thing and the biggest mistake he's doing, he's trying to show us, the people of Kenya, how bad our president is. Yet he's forgetting he's still in the same government. That is not what we're supposed to do when you have a partner. And as I said, that's like a marriage. They took the vows. So one is betraying the other. And that is what is actually messing our country, because we got the economy, which is very bad, terrible. And then you add the political grumbles that is happening in our country. So I think the first what I would plead, can Uhuru and Ruto, they got months to go, but at the end of it all, we need peace in our country, because currently the peace in our country is very shaky. And I also loved what Miriam, you said. Raila Odinga, the way he's doing, he's strategizing his things, the priorities, he's so much he's so much harder, even in Mount Kenya, because in the places he could not go, currently he's going because of the handshake. They came together, and the basic form of handshake was because of peace, and that is what is happening. That's why he got the freedom, and he can go to Mount Kenya and be listened. And like somebody like Ruto, whereby he can go to some other places and you will just hear the chaos, goons. So I think we need a better country, also a country that is free from corruption.
Very well, thank you so much, Daniel Masonga.
Is Daniel online?
Yes. Thank you so much, Miriam Ogotu. Sorry, I'm setting up. My network has been a bit unstable. But maybe to just chip on into what Gladwell has been talking about, I think the dynamics of this particular country are shifting, and we can see that Raila Odinga is actually gaining some mileage in terms of getting the people of Mount Kenya to actually work with him. And more specifically, the Mount Kenya West rather than East, where perhaps in the past years we saw him actually going to Meru, going to Tharaka Nithi, and the other side of Mount Kenya. But this time round, we can see him working with leaders from Murang'a, working with leaders from Nyeri, and like Kipia, and many other Mount Kenya counties. So on my side, I think there is some dynamic shift in it. But also, just to mention the kind of politics that we are having at the moment, I think the deputy president has brought in a very, very dangerous kind of a narrative. You know, even just this week, we had people actually talking about maybe the song Sepangwingi not being a hate speech. But it is, because, you know, let maybe the results of the August polls come out on 9th or 10th of August. And then it comes out that William Ruto has lost the election. You know, these young people have been singing Spangwingwi, which is a sign of defiance that you cannot arrange me, will be on the streets demonstrating, and no one will actually tell them anything, because you can't arrange them, you can't always wapanga. So to me, I think this narrative of division, of hate, of incitement has to be brought to an end. Remember, he's the one who brought on board the hustlers versus the dynasty narrative. Again, before we knew it, he came on board and brought Spangwingwi. So to me, I think, Miriam, if we do not check on that, then all of us saw whatever happened in Uasin Gishu and Iten the other day, that is going to repeat itself, and it's going to be disastrous, because on 9th of August, it's going to be elections across the country, and we do not want to have the country going into mayhem because of a single person. Gladwell Kirago has said, talked about the acrimonious relationship between the president and his deputy. We have to make it clear to the world that it is not the president who initiated the acrimonious relationship that is persisting today. Rather, his deputy, through being hard-headed, through ignoring the cause of the president to work for the people of Kenya and implement the legacy of the president, through actually sabotaging him by taking over MPs, senators, and elected leaders from the president's backyard and positioning them to insult the president day in, day out, whereas the president had put his head down to work for the people of Kenya. So the problems that we are having today in our political arena, they are all due to the uncontrolled ambition, if I may call so, like President Uhuru Kenyatta called it, uncontrolled ambition of his deputy. This is what is bringing an avalanche of problems to this country. And let me just maybe make it clear to you, Miriam. President Uhuru Kenyatta is a good-hearted man. He would have supported his deputy in 2022. He would have campaigned for his deputy in 2022. But how do you campaign for a man who has been looting resources of the country? How do you even trust a man who you give 3 billion Kenyan shillings to take to his backyard and he disappears with it? How do you trust a man who keeps on brokering fake deals in his office, and his the ministers he appointed are the ones who are caught in the Mali? How do you even trust a man who employees, security officers who are attached to him keep dying in a mysterious manner? Miriam, I believe William Ruto blew up the chances of having President Uhuru Kenyatta endorse him and give him the 10 years that he had promised before. And like we always say, sometimes even in marriage, people vow to live until death do them apart. But once you marry and you realize that the person you've married is a thug, this person cannot be contained in your house. You keep leaving money for your wife, but your wife keeps on stealing the wallet and going to the market to buy her own things. Your wife keeps on engaging in illegal activities in the village. How do? You actually have to reconsider the decision, and in so many cases, people will even go to the attorney and actually submit prayers that they may be separated. And that is what is happening with William Ruto and President Uhuru Kenyatta. It was a marriage of the willing. They came together because at the beginning they had a common agenda, they had a common vision, they had a common manifesto. But along the way, one decided to pursue his political ambitions, as the other actually sought to serve and deliver to the people of Kenya. And therefore, even the Bible says, Miriam, you two cannot work together unless they agree. And there was no kind of agreement here, whereas one was politicking day and night, and the other was focused on service delivery. So to me, I think William Ruto is the source of the current political problems we are having as a country, is the source of the political problems that we are having. And even at some extent, the economic problems. Remember, it is due to average corruption that the inflation rate actually soars up. Why do I say that? Look at corrupt countries like Nicaragua. Look at countries like Venezuela. Look at countries like Somalia. Look at countries which are at war, where corruption is actually, money is always changing hands. The cost of living becomes a burden to the normal citizenry because money circulates in the hands of a few people. When you find a country where Oscar Sudi can buy a top-of-the-range car every month to campaign, and you can have people buying apartments in Kilimani in millions of shillings, and we have Kenyans who they call the hustlers actually sleeping without a meal, then you find that there is a big gap between the cost, the cost of living between these two groups. And funny enough, these people who are spending millions and billions to buy choppers, to buy top-of-the-range cars, to buy blocks of apartments in Kilimani, are the one positioning themselves, talking and saying, oh, we are going to be the people who are going to be advocating for your rights. What kind of nonsense, Miriam, can we actually be able to tolerate if we have a billionaire who has 5 choppers, who is driving a car of what a price 44 million Kenyan shillings, calling himself a hustler? I think, Miriam, the people of Kenya should go to the drawing board and really reconsider the future of their country. And it's only 4 months for them to be able to make a decision that will actually be able to guide them and lead them into prosperity for the next 10 years, or a decision which will plunge them into more political and economic mayhem for the next 10 years or even more. So to me, Miriam, I think the ball now is in the court of the Kenyan people. I submit.
Thank you so much. Doc, back to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. If there is nobody else Then we can move to the main topic of today. The main topic of today is, I brought it specifically in order to capture the mood of Easter holiday. In Luke chapter 19, verse 8, if you read that onwards, any Bible reader, open it up now. Wherever you are, it's a Sunday, but it affects Africa. The topic of this show is corruption and in Africa, an obstacle to the entry into a new Jerusalem. I brought this topic, Miriam, and the viewers, those watching me, sincerely speaking, looking at this Palm Sunday, what is the main obstacle of Africa? It's not all the things that people will come up to speak. There's one thing that will come up to hurt people more. Wesonga has just ended up by summarizing one. And one of those things that Wesonga has just summarized is someone is buying a top of the range car every month and doing it while someone is sleeping hungry, not eating. This is happening. Corruption in Africa is the bottleneck that has stopped Africa from going to a new Jerusalem. When Zakayo, who is the current in Kenya, for example, take Kenya, and I believe Miriam has some figures on Kenya. I don't know whether they have been sent to you. You just pick a few things. We shall look at the National Youth Service, Kenya Pipeline, Kenya Railways Corporation, Nairobi Mombasa Railway. Look at Henry Rotich, the Kimeroyal and the Emerald Dams, Mike Imbuvi, Ksonko. Look at the mess that has taken place in those parastatos. First, the NIS scandal, NYS scandal. You see for yourself and you keep quiet. The people, the thieves, those who took the money, have changed several colors from Jubilee, and they have gone to another yellow color, from red to yellow. And there you are. They are in a party where they say we are being victimized. Kenya Pipeline Company, which has led to the current situation. Can this take us to Jerusalem, to a new Jerusalem? Remember, let me go back to the Bible. Jesus reached Jericho before the Palm Sunday and said, go ye ahead and go and bring me a donkey. Go to the village, bring me a new donkey. As if Jesus knew what he was going to face ahead. He knew that a new breed, a new crop of approach, which Africa must think about. The key word here, and I'm preaching now, with Songa and Gladwell and Miriam. The key word here, I am not going to preach like the provost of All Saints Church, who is Ruto's mouthpiece. I'll preach the way I read divinity. That go and bring me a new donkey. And in the village, when the owner asks, who sent you? Why are you taking my donkey? Tell him that the master has sent me. Miriam, look at that. Both all of you here on the panel and the viewers across there watching me and who will pick this step. What is this that Jesus said? we should do afresh. Why is it that from the port of Capernaum, where Jesus was feeding 5,000 people, he was walking on foot. He was walking among people a long distance. If you look at the port of Capernaum, which is the present Haifa, I've been to that Middle East. I've walked in those footsteps where the bread was administered, 12 breads. I've been there. Walking all the way to Jericho, where the palms, where he sent people, sent disciples ahead to change. Mine is today in the preaching that I want to bring to my people of Africa. Let's change and enter a new Jerusalem. How do we change? We change by removing corruption. Corruption has sunk Kenya. Corruption has killed the administration of Jubilee Party, Jubilee government. Corruption brought in by one man, a mafia, a proxy, a man who uses proxies. He sits in his house, his office, and uses proxies to get the money without people knowing that he's involved. That's why it is very difficult to get this guy Ruto. He has destroyed this country. Look at all the tenders. National Youth Service, his office. Farouk Kibet was involved. Murukomen was involved. All of them were involved in the National Youth Service money. The Kenya Pipeline, look who was involved. The National Serious Board, the National Health Insurance Fund, the Ministry of Lands, Swazuru, who was involved? The Kenya Railways, who was involved? Who was cutting this 10%? It's one man. Apparently in Africa, you love thieves. And Jesus was saying, I've been working too much with thieves. In Luke chapter 19, verse 8, he told Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus came and said, and I'm quoting, is he here? Zacchaeus came and said, oh, I have brought all my things I've stolen. All my things I've taken, I've stolen, sir. Can I now enter the kingdom? Jesus said, looked at him and said, until you bring everything, you will not come in the kingdom. Zacchaeus said, but I've brought everything. Ruto claims to be very clean and a very good Christian. But has he brought everything back? Does he tell his hustlers, mamambogas, the boda, does he tell them everything that he has stolen? Hallelujah. Onwards on the donkey. Africa must change by asking new donkeys. A new donkey that will deliver them in New Jerusalem. What did Jesus do when he entered Jerusalem? The last act that Jesus did was to drive away people, thieves, robbers, money launderers, those who were battering in the church, in the temple of Jesus Christ, of the Almighty Father, of God Father, the Father of the temple of Jerusalem. He drove them away. How many African leaders are driving corruption away? Uhuru tried to drive corruption by bringing in people that let's do a self-audit, lifestyle audit. Ruto was the first person to reject. Hello, Kenyans. You might hate me, but one day you will thank me. I'm speaking the truth. For this is the period of Lent. If you select Ruto, your country is gone. It's going to be a commercial thuggery place, state of thuggery merchants, thugs, like Harun Ayadini terrorists coming in bags, lying to heads of state of East Africa that I'm a clean man, I'm godly, I don't drink alcohol. Hey, that is what Ruto tells him, I don't drink alcohol, but he drinks wine. Hey, had you known that? Ugandans cannot be deceived anymore. You drink. And a Miriam. And a panel. This man Ruto says he hates people who drink alcohol, isn't it? But he invites Mudavadi who drinks and forgets that it is already daytime in the morning to go home. Leaving even at times a trouser behind almost. Is he not with him? He brings the Speaker of National Assembly who can even drink and fight in a drink. Is he not with Ruto? Ruto says he hates drink. Those who drink. Oscar Sudi can drink until the nightclub opens the second round in the morning. Is he not with Ruto? Wajinga mugo wapi? Wajinga wako wapi hapa? Nyenye ndio wajinga o Ruto ndio mjinga? I don't know whether my Swahili is correct here, Miriam. Ujinga iko wapi? Nyenye ndio wajinga wa Kenya, mnataka kupatia mtu huyu kura. Mnasema mnampenda mwizi, mnapenda Barabbas kushinda Yesu. The king on Sunday like this, Jesus said, go and bring a donkey, a donkey, a donkey. Why did Jesus go to Jerusalem, enter the end temple of Jerusalem on a donkey? It's the new Africa that I'm looking for. I brought this topic for a challenge. If Professor Lumumba can challenge me, don't give me these big words. Challenge me on the basics. Because the big English doesn't impress people, it impresses people, but it is, we want the basics. Why did the donkey? And he's my friend. Whenever I say this, some people think we are not friends. We are. But I always tell him, these big words you use, people don't communicate in political science with big words. That's why you cannot win a seat in Siaya. Because if you go with big words, Miriam, in Siaya, very few people will understand you. People like Miriam will say, yes, we know this word. But the Siaya people want, why Odinga wins seats all the time in Siaya is Odinga goes down to the communication of English of communication, mass communication, English. That's what Matanga uses. I have a lot of English. I can write Shakespearean English. Akia Mungu, even the examiner calls me to say, boss, did you grow up in Britain? But when I'm communicating to my people, Miriam, I use mass communication English. So yes, Jesus said, go and change. Bring me a donkey. And added the words, a one that has not done toiled in the farm. But if the owner asks, who sent you? Say the master. Because the owner is already purified man. He has provided a donkey. Africa has been provided with a donkey. But among the countries that we want to look at today, that is Kenya. We have South Africa. We have Nigeria. We have Rwanda. And we have South Sudan. Based on what I've said, the only country that is going towards New Jerusalem is Rwanda. The only country has sprung to 52%. Is number 52 in 128 index in Africa. It's the only one that has given us hope because corruption is not tolerated. In Kenya, People have frustrated the president. The president needs a new donkey. Unfortunately, the 4 months left, he cannot mount the new donkey. But Raila Amolo Odinga, this is our President Uhuru's last approach towards Jerusalem. Next year, we shall have Raila Amolo Odinga's approach towards Jerusalem. Mr. Prime Minister, sir, and I ask on behalf of millions who will vote because Matanga talks the facts, because they see this man, the Ugandan whom they hate, but there are millions who love me. Vote Raila Amolo Odinga to get to reach a new Jerusalem. Vote Raila Amolo Odinga. Let's take the new donkey. And that new donkey is Raila Amolo Odinga. Let him deliver us from the toxins of a money mafia laundering aspect agency of UDA, of United Democratic or Uganda Democratic Front. Oh my God, what can I say? I am bitter, Miriam. I am bitter. I know some things that I cannot say here on this microphone. I'm very bitter because this boy Ruto has played too much around here, to the extent that some of us who are soldiers become very agitated. What the hell is this guy? He says, mulimaji wa kisasa wa matunda. The farmer, Wesonga, the farmer, Harun Eyadin, a terrorist, came here, took 15 billion. He told us he's a farmer and an investor. He took him to Uganda and lied that he can build a factory of vaccines. He used tactics of money laundering to lie to us, yet this is the head of terrorist group in Turkey, which trains terrorists who come to kill us in Democratic Republic of Congo. Hala? How long shall we keep quiet? How long? Until we get a new donkey. And the new donkey, Miriam, as I conclude, and I want to bring you in because you are also a Christian, is this new donkey, not Raila Amolo Odinga. The teaching now today, as we go to the last Easter of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, can we bring in a new donkey that can deliver us to Jerusalem? We wrap out the new donkey. If you bring in Martha Karua, Raila Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka, Alfred Mutua, these are clean people. Wamalwa, these are clean people. And the rest of the members, the parties that I cannot mention here, who have decided to say Kenya is the best. The best way to have Kenya is a united Kenya. You have brought in a new donkey that can deliver us, deliver Kenya out of the quagmire, that of corruption. Corruption, therefore, in my opening remarks, which touches, you can touch any country now. Kenya, you can, those are areas you can teach. You can pluck any area. It is the same in South Africa. The Gupta capture is an answer. Nigeria is sinking under an old donkey. Buhari moves on rats, mice. They came and ate his office. So since they ate his office, they decapacitated him to move. He can't move, even his legs. The country is sinking into Atlantic Ocean. The rebels are killing, the terrorists are killing people, abduction, the corruption in Nigeria, the percentage is war, is war, is war. Who doesn't see that? South Sudan, voila, they draw oil every day. As we speak now, oil is moving towards Port Sudan. There's oil dripping. Did you know that Abyei Peninsula, there is oil being dug and Sudan gets money? But believe me or not, people there are almost, you are talking of people starving. People there are almost dying of hunger. Or they are dead. But the country cries there is no money. Where does this oil money go? Corruption. What has stopped Africa from going to a new Jerusalem is corruption. Today I've become a preacher. And I will preach one of my subjects. When I finished Senior 4 in 1974, my father wanted me to go to Bishop Tucker College, Mukono, as a bishop or a reverend or a preacher. My father took me with my mattress and my suitcase and left me in Bishop Tucker College, 1974, under Idi Amin. I was left there. My uncle came at night after he has finished working in Uganda livestock industry. He's called the late Bob Kisuche. Kisuche came with his citron, a yellow citron, in the evening. Stole me, Miriam, stole me from Bishop Tucker College. This is, I am telling you, I had already started my Bible. My father said this guy needs to be a preacher. I was taken back to Kampala, 74 now. And the time is kicking. Either I go, where do I go? Either I go to Senior 5 or to college, or where I start quickly. Another uncle by name Edward Tahuli. He was a senior agriculture officer. Came and snatched me during that time. Miriam, can you believe this? And the people listening to me, this is the truth. He took me to Bukalasa, to Busitema Agriculture Technical School, mechanized school. If people who have gone to Uganda towards from Busia, there is a big mechanized school. My uncle now wanted me to become an agriculture officer. Ha! My father now came back after going home, coming back to see me in the Bishop Tucker College. He was told, no, a yellow citron came here and picked his son and took him. Now he called my uncle, other uncle, the younger one, of 2 years younger than him. He said, why do you do this at night? This guy here, you will never manage him. This guy needs to be in God by preaching the Bible. My uncle, as I finished, Miriam, said, do you know what? You are talking of a man who was taken to agricultural station yesterday. So, as I was seated there, another uncle by name Titus Nangalama, that's my uncle, he's still alive today. He said, you know, I've got a vacancy in Mbale Senior Secondary School, Senior 5. Medium. This time, this uncle now said he has to come and do divinity, BCG, BCG, biology, BCG it was a BCG because my combination. Then there was divinity, history and English, something like that. He has to do a course which has divinity. And why was I all the time, my courses rotated around divinity? I got a distinction number 2, Miriam. D2 in religious knowledge. Huh? So my thing rotated there. Distinction number 2 in religious knowledge. The pastor, the provost of All Saints Church, you are listening to me if you are listening today. I would have become a very sharp preacher, maybe like a Bishop Joshua or others. So, finally, Miriam, the uncle with the citron won me. And he said, you go to Uganda College of Commerce to do Uganda Diploma of Commerce, Uganda College of Commerce Diploma in Business Administration and Management, while you work in my printing press called Fine Art Printers on the street called number 88 Fine Art Printers in Kampala, opposite Odeon Cinema. Opposite Odeon Cinema, South Street. Yes, it is called South Street. And you'll be the chief accountant. You do the management, write and read. And I want you to cross and go at 4 o'clock. You go to Nakawa. And anybody coming here now to take you, I'm going to fight them. That was my uncle Robert Kisuche the Late. May his soul rest in peace. And he taught me how to wear good shoes, how to wear good shirts, how to polish my shoes, how to wash my shirts. This is 1974, 75 now. I began a course. While I was there, this uncle was determined. The one in Bale was determined that this guy has to go to A-levels. He came one Saturday. They had a drink there in town. He snatched me. This is a true story. Snatched me, took me to. I am bringing this because there's a need of a new donkey. And they took me to Mbale Senior Secondary School for divinity, history, and English. I read it. I fell into chaos with Amini soldiers. You know, I was very slender and handsome, tall. We used to compete around there with those days with well-organized people. And the uncle said, I told you they will kill this boy here. The story is a long one. But viewers, I had this thing of being a preacher. The Africa we need needs preaching. The Africa we need needs us talking about it. Have we talked enough about this Africa? The Africa we need needs a new donkey, a donkey that has not got involved into activities of corruption. Indeed, I submit, Miriam, corruption is the obstacle of our entry into New Jerusalem. Thank you.
Very well. Thank you, Doc. And you really, tackled that topic very well. I don't know if there's anything more we can add to that, but perhaps Daniel has something that he wants to add on to this conversation we're having this afternoon. Daniel, go ahead.
Miriam, I think Dr. Matsanga's submission actually leaves me with nothing to add on. Just maybe patting on his back for really articulating out the issues. And arguably that is the problem that we are having in this country. And not only in Kenya, but Africa in general. When you go to Nigeria, it's a similar problem. When you go to Uganda, it's a similar problem. You go to Cameroon, it's a similar problem. You go to the Sahel region and the Maghreb region, it's the same region, including even South Africa. So I think it is an African problem. And I hope, like Dr. Matsanga says, that during this Lent period, we're going to find many African leaders mounting a good donkey that will be able to take us to Jerusalem. So it's only hoping against hope that things are going to change as we move into the future. Otherwise, Miriam, I don't have anyone to add on that.
For your own information, before Wesonga, you disappear, Kenya in 2021 was ranked 128th out of 180. Mark that, write that, Karuga and Kiragu and Miriam. Then South Africa was ranked. That's why these countries need a new donkey. South Africa was ranked 171st, 71 out of 180 countries. Nigeria, oh my Jesus Christ, I told you, Nigeria was 154th country out of 180 ranked because of corruption in the corrupt index. Rwanda was ranked was ranked number 52 out of 180 countries. South Sudan was ranked 176 out of 180. Ha! There you are, Wesonga. As we return to Miriam. Wesonga, those are the figures. 176 out of 180 for South Sudan. You can see, you can summarize, you can say what I've said.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Masanga David. And I hope, I think it is a very, very sad reality for our African continent that we are only competing in being the worst ranked countries when it comes to corruption, but in terms of development, in terms of even human development index, we do not feature anywhere. And something that has come out quite clearly is that countries like Rwanda, Uganda, and many other African, where we have a mix between benevolent dictatorship and the democratic side of rulership, we have seen that in terms of corruption, they're actually doing quite well. And you can see Rwanda is number 50-something out of almost 200 countries globally. So that tells you that sometimes we need the military kind of leadership to be able to crack the ghost of corruption. And something similar has actually been seen here in Nairobi, Kenya, through the Nairobi Metropolitan Service, which is under the leadership of Major General Badi Mohammed. And before that, we saw the kind of corruption and plunder that was happening at City Hall. We saw the kind of negligence when it comes to development that was being spearheaded by the former Governor Evans Kidero and his successor, Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko. We saw the cartels that were roaming in the hallways of City Hall and the kind of poor service delivery, the garbage and the stench that was coming out of our streets due to that poor leadership. But when it came to the point that NMS was to take over, today we are seeing boreholes being sunk. Today we are seeing streets being swept and being cleaned. Today we are seeing hospitals being built in the slum areas. Today we are seeing even roads being recarpeted within city estates. And there's a lot of good works really happening. So to me, it's somehow worrying that the African countries, especially those who embody democracy, are not doing so well when it comes to fighting corruption. I believe if they were talking about democracy, then these good found democracy would have come along with electing leaders who are able to lead us into economic breakthroughs. But opposed to that, we are only seeing countries like Rwanda, where President Paul Kagame has been blamed for a myriad of issues in terms of democracy and purging on the opposition, is actually leading in front of us. And I know where the problem when it comes to corruption in Kenya is. The problem is that we always politicize corruption. Whenever someone is arrested and taken to court due to corruption allegations, you hear people coming on the streets saying that our man is being hounded out of office. This is witch hunt and we shall not accept it. We see even others saying that perhaps it is because this person has stood with a certain political affiliation. It is the reason why now they are actually being persecuted out of corruption. Whereas the investigative agencies and agencies such as the ESCC would have done their investigation and actually with factual basis ascertain that these individuals were involved in corruption. It ends up in politics, and once the political discussion takes charge, these prosecutions, these audits actually go in vain, and at the end of the day, the culprits walk scot-free. Today, we should not be talking about Anne Waiguru vying in Kirinyaga. The NYS 1 and 2 scandals were exhaustively investigated and the culprits prosecuted. Today, we will not be having even some elected leaders running for office with the money they stole from the people of Kenya, dishing it out in their thousands and actually getting elected in office. So I think in Kenya, the problem is not that we do not have leadership that is committed to fight corruption. Rather, our institutions are vulnerable to the political rhetoric of the day. If it is anything to go by, I believe President Uhuru was committed in fighting corruption, and he said during the start of his second term that it doesn't matter whether you are his friend, his relative, or his acquaintance. He's going to fight corruption without looking at anybody, without hearing pleas from anybody or favors that are pertaining anything related to corruption. And that is what we've been seeing with the DCI and the ESCC together with the DPP. They have been actually going for anything that is smelling and reeking of corruption. However, we've been failed by our courts because, one, our courts have been taking a long time when it comes to prosecuting the corruption cases. Our courts also have been very, very vulnerable to being bribed and corrupted by the same money that has been stolen from the public coffers of the people of Kenya. And another problem is the politics of the day. William Ruto has been gathering in his corner all politicians that have been accused of corruption and singing on the mountaintops, saying how the president is only fighting a one-sided battle, whereas we've been seeing arrests happening all over. So to me, Dr. Masanga, Kenya does not deserve to be ranked in such a number when we actually have people in this country who diligently work to earn their money, people who are very clean, people who are very patriotic enough not to touch on the public coffers of this country. We need to strengthen our institutions. We need to fight and combat the politicians who bring political rhetoric in the fight against corruptions. And above all, Dr. Masanga, we need to overhaul our judiciary. We need to kick out all these activists who are always derailing the fight against corruptions, the corrupt judges who take bribes and trick the route to justice should all be done away with, so that we are able to get Kenya from number 124 globally to somewhere among the top 50 like Rwanda and even much beyond. I believe it's not a journey that can be done in a short time, but if you can get the next 5 years under a leadership that will be committed to fight corruption, the much smaller number that we are today. So I believe it's a goodwill. Let's have the political goodwill. Let's have leaders who are committed to fight corruptions. Let us have people also who will support this agenda of eradicating corruption in our offices, in our government, in all spheres of our Kenyan discourse. And we shall be able to have a country that is prosperous and a country which is destined for greatness. I submit.
Thank you very much. Gladwell, briefly.
She's not there.
Okay, Miriam, briefly, your thoughts on a new. Thank you very much, Daniel. Thank you, my brother. Mark the word. We need a new donkey to enter a new Jerusalem. And that new donkey is Raila Amolo Odinga. If Kenya is ever to stand and shine again.
Yes, indeed. And of course, Doc, you've said much of what I would have said this afternoon, and Daniel as well. And as you said, we indeed need a new donkey as far as the fight against corruption is concerned. And the leader we need after President Uhuru Kenyatta is a leader who is committed to slaying this dragon of corruption that is really affecting us and hindering our economic, political, social development in this country, because it takes so much, from the people. So we need somebody who is committed and who has shown a track record of commitment when it comes to the war against corruption. So I think when even Kenyans are thinking, going to vote and are considering, I think that is just one of the key things they should look at, the track record and the leaders who have given themselves to run to, especially as the president, because I think it's important. And then they look at the governors and the members of parliament and going down that road, because unless we have people who are in place who are actually having a commitment to fight, the war against corruption, then, it will be fruitless. We'll just have leaders there who continue to steal from us, who will continue to take away from that which will go into developing things that will benefit Kenyans. So just echoing what Dr. Matanga, you've said, and what Daniel Wasonga has said, I think that we can't wait. Corruption, we can't just be saying it on paper. We must see it being reflected in our court system, in our justice system. And Daniel has reminded us how long these cases take. And as long as they keep taking this long in the courts, they're beating the essence of justice. And so you find that the wheel of justice moves so slowly when it comes to matters corruption. So that has to be looked at. And of course, other institutions that have been bestowed with fighting corruption, the EACC, the DCI, I think we must take the war to the doorsteps of where corruption is. If at all, as a country, we have to win this war against corruption, because number 124 out of 180, that is embarrassing. That is embarrassing, and there's no reason why we cannot do better when it comes to war against corruption. So let's look for a leader who is committed in the fight against corruption, even as we look to go to August, voting.
Thank you very much, Miriam. Thank you very much, Daniel Wasonga. Thank you very much, Kiruga. And thank you very much, viewers who have been watching us the whole afternoon. We today combine one topic that affects the entire Africa. This is my take. Corruption in Africa has destroyed several millions and millions of lives. Corruption in Africa has been institutionalized in many institutions. Across the continent of Africa, each country is bleeding as a result of corruption. There are few countries in Africa that have tried to fight corruption mercilessly, without fear or favor. Rwanda is one of them. And you can see the percentage, the number of the place where it sits, Seychelles. You can see where it sits in terms of number one in Africa in the fight against corruption. But corruption is also an obstacle in this period of Lent. Let's look at the story, the parable of Jesus when he said, go ye ahead and get a new donkey that has never done any work before he enters the kingdom, the temple of Jerusalem, to drive away thieves, robbers, killers, tax collectors like Zakayo. In Kenya, we have a Zakayo who has not returned everything, but claims to use the Bible to get the people to vote for him. Claims to be very innocent. Claims to have not stolen anything, even when proxies, the closest cronies, have been found in the possession of stolen cash. From National Health Insurance Fund to National Insurance, National Youth Service, to Kenya Pipeline, to KPLC, to Kenya, all these institutions, a proxy was used. To the Kimerol and Emerald, although he stood up and said he wasn't part of it, still proxies were used. To fuel shortages, the companies supplying fuel, they take fuel into another country, then return the fuel, sell it at an exorbitant price. Is this the Africa we want. Therefore, Africa needs a new donkey. This is the last term, the last 4 months, the last period of Lent for President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta of Kenya. He has fought against corruption. He has tried to bring in laws. But the laws in Kenya, the criminal justice system in Kenya is slow. It does not punish like in China, firing squad, killing people by firing squad who are involved in corruption. The law in Kenya goes slow. The wheel is slow. The judges are corrupt. So many things happen in Kenya. Therefore, corruption is still the biggest obstacle in entering a New Jerusalem. Indeed, out of all the 5 sample cases, Nigeria, South Africa, Rwanda, South Sudan, and Kenya, the countries have taken, only one is in the second with 2 digits. That is Rwanda. The rest are in 3 digits out of 108 index. Fellow Africans, as a Pan-African, I'm concerned. Take your time, look at my clip, think again. Does Africa need a new donkey towards a new Jerusalem during this period of Lent? And that donkey in Kenya is none other than Raila Amolo Odinga, who can lead the people of Kenya in the fight against corruption. Thank you. Vote him, vote Raila, vote for him. Let him take Kenya to a new Jerusalem. God bless you.